Hi, my name's Jason. I've recently got back from cycling across the US, and while I was out there, quite a few people commented that it looked like I was travelling light. And this certainly is the case compared to a lot of touring cyclists that had the typical four pannier kind of setup. And it was deliberate on my part. I thought what I wanted to do was to travel fast and to minimise my time in the saddle. So this involved changing the bike pack setup a little bit, and that's covered in a separate video. But it also involved minimising what I was going to take and also minimising the weight, which I'm going to cover in this video. I'll put a link to the packing list in the video description, and I'll start with what I was wearing on the bike. So Shimano shoes, done me a couple of trips. They're not very waterproof, but they do the job. Good thing about them is they're easy to walk about in, so don't need to take another pair of shoes for sort of day use. The Merino t-shirt, this one's an Isobar t-shirt, really good. Merino's so good for touring. It keeps you warm when it's cold outside and you don't get too hot in it. Doesn't need washing that often, so it's a good choice for t-shirt. These are DHB Aeron shorts. I tried a few pairs over the years. Those ones use, I can't remember the name of the company, but it's a particular type of pad that is really good for long distances. Not necessarily just thick, it's just really comfortable. So I had a couple of pairs of those, wore one, kept one spare, although probably really didn't need it. I washed my kit every night, pretty much every single night. It's really important to do that. If you don't do that and you get wet and you get hot and things, it's a recipe for saddle sores, so which is not nice and can really put an end to your trip. So washing every night, washing the kit every night is really important. If you're in a hotel, obviously easy. Roll it up in a towel, walk up and down it, hang it up, and it's dry the next morning, no problem. The coat got a bit more of an outing than I was expecting. I bought the coat for this trip. I had a black kind of Gore-Tex one, and I wanted to be a bit more visible in the rain. I think particularly when it's dark and rainy is when you need to be visible. So that is kind of a gravel bike coat. Breathable, waterproof, really good. Just a road helmet and road gloves there. In the end, I didn't wear gloves, so I got sort of too hot in the gloves. And actually, I think by that time, my hands had sort of worn in a little bit. So this is the seat pack I took. It's the Apidura. I think it's the larger one. Taken it on about 3 or 4 big trips now, and it's really standing up really well. So I'm really impressed with Apidura kit. It works very well, and that's pretty lightweight. That's 400 grams, so that's pretty good for a big bag like that. In the bag, then I put the sleeping stuff. So you can see there, I haven't packed it up again, but that big sleeping bag packs into something that's about the size of a sort of between a Coke can and a bag of sugar. So pretty compressed, and it was really good. I stayed in a couple of cabins, and it was cold at night, and the bag was fine. I took a seat pad as an emergency because really I wasn't planning on tenting, but I thought, I took the tent just in case, so I took a sleeping pad just in case. That is a Thermarest Uberlight. I think it's probably like sort of sleeping on a poly bag kind of thing. I'm sure it'd be quite crinkly and quite noisy, but it was there as a bit of an emergency. So for off the bike, got a few bits and pieces here. Some travel trousers, a company called Kathmandu. Works really well, hard wearing. If you spill something on it, it just sort of rolls off. These were some Perlizumi casual shorts. Got quite a lot of use out of those. When it got a bit colder, this was quite a nice sort of thin, lightweight fleece Montane as a hoodie if it gets really cold. And then across the top, we've got another merino tee, which I could wear on the bike if I needed to. Didn't really need to. That got quite a lot of use. A sort of fairly thick shirt, which actually didn't get a lot of use, but it was still kind of nice to have if it got cold and you're going out to the bar or something. That was handy. And then on the left, just some underwear, sleeping t-shirt, that kind of thing. So these are the bits of on-bike clothing that also go in the seat pack. This t-shirt, this is a sort of merino type again, although it's a bit of a merino mix, so it's kind of harder wearing than a normal merino. And that t-shirt I wore like most of the time. It was quite a sort of relaxed fit. It was warm. It was just really good general purpose t-shirt. So that was good. This one I didn't really wear. I think I wore it once when I was in town just to be a bit more visible. But most of the time I kind of didn't feel the need to wear something really luminous. This is a cheapo long-sleeved tee, but that was really useful when it got cold. And it was kind of accidental that happened to make its way into my packing. But I'm glad it did, because it gave me an extra layer. And another pair of these DHB Aeron shorts, super comfortable, really happy with those. So underneath the seat pack goes this big 20-litre dry bag from sea to summit. The reason I got this particular one is for these pieces on the side here. This was really good for sort of tying everything down to the rack, made sure nothing slipped. So inside the seat pack, a lot of it is down jacket. This is a nice down jacket, very lightweight, nice and warm. Did the job. That was good. Then as well as that, we've got some waterproof shoes. Now these are quite sort of useful around things like around the hotel, but also I wore them when my other shoes were completely sodden and had to dry out. Quite sort of useful, very lightweight as well. Leggings, these are Lusso leggings, work well. These are non-padded as well, so I could just slip them on over my shorts just when it got a bit chilly. So other bits and bobs in the dry bag. What have we got here? We've got a spare tube, so I was carrying 2 tubes in total. This is some spare cycle food, so some of my favourite Noon tablets, which I use a lot. Also, I love these banana fudge bars. You can't really take a whole trip's worth, but I just carried a few extra ones here. Some swim shorts and a towel, so good for if you want to swim. Then we've got like a wash bag, so normal bits and bobs, antiperspirant, some shower gel, shave, toothbrush, toothpaste, that kind of thing. That's in there. And this is a medical kit, sort of slightly depleted now, but it's got dressings and plasters, an antiseptic cream, some stuff for coping with saddle sores, which I'm glad to say I didn't have to use. Also things for getting ticks off, which I also didn't have to use. So that was the best thing with a medical kit, is not to have to use any of it. Yeah, I'll put a list of exactly what's in there in my packing list. So that's everything, I think, in the dry bag. One other thing that was really good about the dry bag and this packing setup was when I was flying, what I could do, I put a lot of my kit in the bike box, but I had to carry some kit on the plane as well. And with these 2 bags, so the seat pack and the dry bag, what I could do was basically put one inside the other, something like this. Then I had a strap like that, and that allowed me to carry that onto the plane. So that was basically pretty much that, and my bar bag was everything I took on the plane. Right, let's have a look at what's in the frame bag. Fitted the bike pretty well, and it stayed on the bike for the whole trip, so it wasn't like I had to take it off every night. But just to see what's inside it, on this side in here we've got weather gear, so some long fingered gloves, some overshoes, which I don't think I wouldn't go for the same ones again. These were seal skins. They had quite a lot of use out in the west coast, and you can see, hopefully on there, they're suffering pretty badly. So yeah, they got a bit wrecked. So good idea, but yeah, just not durable enough. Gore-Tex hat, that was good for when it got cold. Some arms, I wear those at home, but didn't think I really use those actually. Waterproof over trousers, cheapo kind of things. Don't think it's worth getting anything very expensive because they get beaten up. I would also carry the the poles for my tent, which I was carrying. They go in this side as well. So that's that side. Let's flip it over. Right, other side of the frame bag is kind of tools and that kind of thing. So what have we got in here? We've got a spare tube. That's the sort of first one. I'm carrying 2 in total. So this is a multi-tool, Lezyme multi-tool. It's got a chain breaker on it. All the Allen keys that I need on here. Now this is a new purchase. Quite a lightweight little Leatherman thing. This proved quite handy now and again, particularly actually the scissor side. Really good scissors. This is Nextool, very handy. Other things we've got, quite a large pump. The tyre volume's pretty high, so I didn't want a too skinny a pump, and it was quite useful to have this pressure gauge, although I wouldn't say it works brilliantly well. Basically what I try and do is borrow a track pump wherever I could at bike shops, but I used this a few times and it was worth having. And then we've got quite a big spares kit in here, all sorts of things, chain lube, there's an old toothbrush there I use for cleaning things up, some good tyre levers, a thing to hold the brake pads open while in transit, puncture repair kits, tape, quite a few bits and pieces, spare bolts, spare rear mech hanger. I didn't need it, but it was quite handy. Spare bungee in case I broke the bungee. Some string and elastic bands and tie wraps. I did actually use some of that. I had a couple of sort of field fixes to do. Spare chain link. I'll put a full list in the description. So lastly with the frame bag is this sort of bottom section of it, and originally I was going to carry a stove in there, so I've got quite a compact sort of billy set and stove, but I decided in the end I wouldn't take it. It worked out fine actually. I didn't miss the stove. You know, I spoke to a few people and they said, oh, you ought to take a stove and whatever, but the way I was doing this trip I really didn't miss it. So this bottom section is more, it's still sort of food related, but basically most of the time I was carrying a large amount of bananas. Well, I can't imagine how many bananas I ate over the whole trip, but it was a lot. Also in here, this is like a plate and some cutlery and a sort of chopping board. Now this meant I could, you know, buy some cold stuff and make a sort of cold lunch and eat it out. Or even actually a lot of the motels will have things like fridges and microwaves in. So, you know, you can make yourself quite a decent evening meal if you're staying in one of those places. And then I never actually used it, but carrying a spare water bottle. Probably there were a few occasions where I wasn't carrying enough water, and this was sort of there just in case. In the end, as I say, I didn't need it, and I lived to tell the tale. And then just a few spare plastic bags. You can never have too many plastic bags for rubbish and food and, you know, all sorts of things. Okay, so the bar bag. Yeah, I love this bar bag. I mean, it could be like 30 years old or something crazy, but I love it to death. It's really light, and it's a really simple sort of quick release system on it. So if I'd stop to get some food or go to the bar or whatever, go into a restaurant, I'd lock the bike up and just unclip this, take it all in. This had all my sort of valuables, money, passport, everything in it. Just keep this with me. It works out fine on the bike. So in terms of what's in it, first thing to say, I guess, is I did go a bit old school with maps and things on here. So this would just give me a sort of a view of what was coming up, particularly the elevation I found quite handy. But I thought as well, if I had a full electronic breakdown, then at least I'd have some idea of where I was going on these trips. So based on previous experience, I laminated these because I've done this before and caught in the wet and just lost all the maps altogether. And then what I did was do a sort of an overall kind of route thing, just to see, you know, where I was headed, how many miles, what sort of terrain, what sort of altitude. So that was quite handy. So then in the bag, what we've got is a lock. So this was something that I didn't want to take a D-lock. Well, I wanted to take some sort of lock, and this was kind of a good compromise between lightweight and secure. So I'd never leave the bike outside overnight, but this was enough if I was just going in to get some groceries or whatever it might be. Then I'd also keep another layer sort of handy, and this was a top cheapo thing. I think I got it off Amazon. I bought another one just because, again, I wanted a bit of colour, make myself a bit more visible. So that had some good wear, no complaints. It's really good. And then getting in further, so this would be sunglasses, spare glasses, everything I needed there. This is a sort of fold up little rucksack. Now that's quite good if you're just going and getting a few groceries, that kind of thing. So here we've got eye mask, earplugs, definitely need those. You end up with some noisy hotels. Toilet roll, don't know when you're going to get caught short, just in case anybody wants to get a bit COVID-y. Hat, which that was very useful. Bought this over in Bormio. I did the Stelvio and a few of the other ones. It's a bit of sentimental value as well. Wet wipes, all sorts of uses, anything from cleaning up after a bit of maintenance to having a full body clean. If you've got nothing else, then it's worth having. These are chosen antibacterial. Here is sort of miscellaneous electronics. So in here there is quite a big power bank. Use that pretty much every day. Quite a small charger, that works all right. Head torch, little headset. Use that mainly for evenings, because on the bike I could actually use the phone speaker, and that worked quite nicely. Also in here, this is just for wiping your face off when you get a bit sweaty. The suntan, some sort of high strength suntan lotion. Didn't end up using this, but I thought I'd take it. A midge net. This I did use. This is a cover that goes over this bag, because this bag isn't waterproof. Yeah, that did the job actually. That was good. Rag in a bag. So this is for cleaning up after a bit of bike maintenance, or even cleaning the bike actually. That was quite handy. Wash it out after. Tripod and sort of selfie stick for the GoPro. Front light for when I didn't have the GoPro on. And then the rear mount, there's also a little 3D printed piece to hold that on. And say all my valuables in here. So passport, driving license, any SD cards, they're also in here. That was just a little thing that was sort of breaking down how many calories I needed in a day. Don't think I ever actually really followed it, but it's the thought that counts. Quad lock mount for the phone, obviously the phone not in there at the moment. Little sewing kit, a wallet, yeah, which is that has cash cards in it. That's my Garmin. That's basically it. Oh, and in the front there's a hat, like a buff sort of scarf thing. Yeah, just easy to get to. So that's it. That's everything in the bar bag. If you know of any really good bar bags that are lightweight, easy demountable, big, because this is really big, yeah, it'd be really good to know in the comments actually, because I could do with another one. I don't think I can have this for a 4th decade. So it's about time I got another one. Well, I hope you got something from all that. I think the overall message would be you don't need as much as you think you're going to need. When it comes to cycling, it's definitely a case of less is more. Okay, see you on the next video.